We're going to talk about chapter 3, which is the first part talking about the cellular chapter. The cellular chapter is important to understand because we need to understand how the cellular level works as far as the human organization of the body or the levels of organization. So we need to understand a few definitions and exactly how our cells work. And there are trillions of cells in our body. So it's important to understand what the cell is made of and what is its importance. So we're going to start with some definitions here. Cell is the smallest unit that can carry on all the processes of life. So up until this point, we are not considered living. So when we're looking at the level of human organization, we have the chemical level. That is the most basic foundation of the level of organization leading up into the organism. And that, of course, is going to consist of your atom, your molecule, your macromolecule, your organelle. So those areas that consist of that chemical level. And then we, of course, get to the cellular level where we are considered living at this point. And then, of course, we're going to continue on through that level of organization, to the tissues and so forth, all the way through the organs, the organ system, and then the organism. So we need to understand here being the first phase of life. Now, again, this is the building blocks of all living things, so it's very important. We have three main regions. We have the plasma membrane, we have the nucleus, and the cytoplasm. Now, the plasma membrane, this is our border of our cell. This is going to control or regulate what comes in and out of that cell. Of course, that is called being selectively permeable or semi-permeable because it is selective on what comes in the cell or what leaves that cell. And we know that that is important for maintaining homeostasis in that cell. And homeostasis is that perfect balance. It is that environment that we want our cells to be at. Because without homeostasis, we're at something called a homeostatic imbalance. And that is, of course, how diseases occur, cancer, high blood pressure, low blood sugar, high blood sugar. You can name several different things there where our body is at a homeostatic imbalance. So we want our cells to maintain that homeostasis. So this plasma membrane is very important for maintaining what is allowed into our cells and what is not. Secondly, the nucleus. That is your main hub, your port of your cell. This is going to contain your genetic information, your DNA, your genetic makeup. We need that nucleus, of course, to make us, to make have all of our information. We're going to lead to protein synthesis here through transcription and translation. So we need that genetic information here to continue that process. Then the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is that gel-like content that you see in yellow here in our image on the screen. And this is going to hold all those organelles in correct alignment and in correct position. So let's talk about these individually. And we're going to get through, in this part 1 video, we're going to get through our organelles. So the plasma membrane, let's talk about it first. It is a barrier for cell contents separating, again, what is on the outside from what's in the inside of the cell. It is going to control cellular activities through the proteins embedded within it. So within that plasma membrane, we have different things that all serve different purposes in maintaining that entire selectively permeable capability or characteristic. So in this picture, you see here, it is a double layer of phospholipids. That is why it's called a lipid bilayer. And if you notice here, you can see several things. Here is your phospholipid bilayer. It is 2 layers. Here's a layer and here's a layer. Now here you will see on this double layer, you can see the polar region versus the non-polar region. Now, you can see those fatty acid tails. They're facing on the inside of the cell. And of course, the polar heads facing the outside, which is very important because, of course, we know polar is, attracted to water. So we have that polar region there. We have these carbohydrate chains. Here's our receptor molecules. We have cholesterol, cytoskeleton. So several things go into this double layer of this phospholipid bilayer to make this plasma membrane selectively permeable. So Again, it allows materials to pass while excluding others. The permeability is dependent on size and solubility of the material passing through it. So some things can come across and some things cannot. So the plasma membrane will determine that. What are the things that are embedded within this that I just mentioned? Cholesterol, it has a stabilizing effect and is going to keep our membranes secure. Enzymes, we know enzymes are going to help in our chemical reactions. They're going to help speed up our chemical reactions. Of course, receptors are our communication sites. These are our specific binding sites within this plasma membrane. And transport proteins, we have to have these transport proteins that are going to allow these substances to enter and leave. And then glycoproteins as well are mentioned here. So some specializations that we see on that plasma membrane, the microvilli, that's those finger-like projections at the bottom of that cell that's going to help increase our surface area for absorption of the cell. We have some junctions here, tight junctions, desmosomes, and gap junctions. These junctions, the tight junctions, for example, are going to hold adjacent cells tightly together, so nothing can penetrate through them. Desmosomes holds adjacent cells together by fibers, so if we know that they're held together by fibers, they can easily be separated. And then we have gap junctions, open areas in the membrane allowing the passage of chemicals between cells. So again, all this is important for allowing this plasma membrane to be selectively permeable. So we move on to the nucleus. The nucleus is going to control our cellular functions. We have our DNA, genetic material containing information for making our proteins. So we've got to make our proteins. We have to have that information here from our nucleus. Now, you can see here you have the nuclear envelope, you have the nuclear pores, the nucleolus, nuclear envelope, of course, kind of like the plasma membrane, serving a similar purpose, but it is going to be a barrier just to the nucleus from what's in the cell versus what's inside the nucleus. So the nuclear pores are going to be openings within the envelope that allow for the exchange of material within the rest of the cell. And the nucleolus is where we're going to find our RNA and our proteins. Also very important, it is the site of ribosome production. Our cytoplasm, material outside of the nucleus, yet inside that plasma membrane, as I said, it's going to hold all those organelles together, and we know all those organelles are going to have their own function. So we get into the organelles. We have a ribosome. This is the site of protein synthesis. This is where it happens. You have your protein synthesis going on here with transcription and translation. We'll be talking about that in part 2 video. So where are they located? We have some free ones. Here's some free ones here in the cytoplasm. Those little black dots you see, these are our free floating ribosomes. Now, there are also some that are going to be attached to this rough ER over here. So we have 2 different locations. So protein synthesis, you've got some RNA that's going to play a role, messenger RNA, ribosomal RNA, and transfer RNA. That is very important. Transcription and translation, just a quick overview of it. We're going to talk about it a little bit more detailed in the next video. Transcription, information in the DNA is copied onto the messenger RNA. It is going to occur in that nucleus. Now, translations, the information in the messenger RNA is used to link those amino acids together to form that protein. Endoplasmic reticulum, you're going to have 2 types here. This is rough ER and smooth ER. Now, your rough ER, it's going to have ribosomes. So if it has ribosomes, it's going to be associated with making those proteins. Smooth ER is not going to have the ribosomes. So instead of making the proteins here, we're talking about the function in the synthesis of our lipids or our cholesterol. The Golgi apparatus, this is kind of like your post office of your body. Think of it that way. It's going to package, it's going to secrete, it's going to process. So here we're going to process. The Golgi is going to finish assembling that protein that we made through transcription and translation. Packaging, a new vesicle is going to be formed. And secretion, it's going to be sent out through the body. So we got to have that Golgi, that post office system. Mitochondria, very important, powerhouse of the cell. This is where our cellular respiration takes place. This is how we get our ATP. This is how we get our energy for the body. So it is very, very important. Cellular respiration occurs here is the process of breaking down glucose and oxygen into carbon and water while releasing energy in the form of ATP to do cellular work. And process of cellular respiration, glycolysis in the Krebs cycle. We're going to talk about this a little bit more in the next video. I'm going to try to get through these organelles real quick. The lysosome, membrane enclosed sac that contains digestive enzymes. So here's our digestive, function per se. So, and here's some functions that we talked about, we're going to talk about with this lysosome. Peroxisomes are going to be, breaking down our free radicals. Our cytoskeleton is very important. It's going to hold that cell together, kind of like our skeletal system of our body. So, those are important as well. So that kind of wraps up our organelles of the cell. So I'm going to stop part 1 video at this point, and we'll continue on with the next video with the rest of the part of the cell.